I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy, everyone. This is my bestie, sister, friend, everything right here. Like, when I said I was going to come back and do the podcast because I was on hiatus for like 2 years, God was like, you got to do this differently.
Yeah.
And I talked to you about it.
Yeah.
When I was at your house in September, I was like, Shay. Because, I got to come to you a little bit more. Now, I'll go to like Nene. I don't know what I'm going to do. But Shay. I don't think God has this for me the way I was doing it. And we just talk. And I was like, and once we get into the situation that we're here to talk about, I was like, you need to be the cat. Like, you're like, for me, like, you're Black Hollywood royalty for me and people who know you, I'm quite sure.
Maybe.
So tell us who you are and what brought you here to LA. Like, you know how I feel about LA. So what brought you here?
LA is your baby. I know it. My name is Shea Harris. I am a filmmaker, writer, director, interior designer. And film brought me to LA. Film, and also, I think I was doing a little running.
Okay.
A little running.
Oh, okay. So we've been like upfront and honest, like right now.
Mm-hmm. Like right now.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. I think I've only came to that realization maybe in the past 2-3 years. It was, in doing the inner work and searching for who you are. I was like, there's a little more to that. Like, yes, I definitely came for purpose. I definitely came for passion and for my dream. But I think I was running away from some things too. I think I was running away from the atmosphere. I needed a new environment.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know how to articulate that. I didn't really know what that was or what that meant. And so, yeah, that's how I got out here.
See, that's a thing. Because if we dissect that, I think I've been running for a minute.
Listen, I think a lot of us been running, but we don't want to say it out loud, right? Because we want to make it seem like we got it all together. But,
LA, and it's so crazy because I don't know about you, but for me, when I always tell people that I live in LA, or even after cancer, and I was like, well, I'm going back home to LA. People are like, but why? Yeah, and so it's so expensive, and the drugs, and people, and you're like, the drugs, and you're like, but that's not everywhere though.
Right.
For me, in my mind, I feel like it's where you live.
Yes.
And how you live in LA. So when you are approached with that, why are you in LA?
Right.
What's your feedback? Like, what's your rebuttal?
I am where God has told me to go.
Come on. Right.
Listen, I don't make any moves unless God says to make the move.
Yeah.
And God definitely said to make the move to LA, even though it was unbeknownst to me. I thought I was doing the thing. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to position myself, because that was a word that I heard at the Fountain of Praise, my home church in Houston, Texas. Shout out to Pastors Remus and Mia K. Wright. But I heard a word. It was actually Pastor Mia preached many, many years ago. Well, age was still up like that. But many years ago, she preached a sermon on positioning yourself. And essentially what I got out of that over the years was that, God places us in situations where we have the ability to position ourselves. Sometimes it's not what you're doing, it's where you are. And that's not always the case, because oftentimes it's what you're doing, not where you at. Because problems will follow us, as, again, a little bit of the running that I did, some of the problems I was running from still follow. They ran right with me.
still sprinted right with you.
They sprinted right on here to LA, But I heard that sermon, and from a career standpoint, from a film standpoint, I was like, oh, I do need to position myself. I need to be in the place where I can get in the rooms with the people who can make the decisions to help me further my career. And so again, having no idea that that's what I was actually going to do, I was like, I'm moving to LA. And then God was like, you know what? You are. Boop, go. And I was like, wait.
I ain't prepared.
Wait, I know I had said I was going to go, but what
right.
had happened was, it's like,
Right.
I'm really ready. So, yeah. But yeah, when people ask me, like, why LA? It's like, until God tells me
Different.
Yeah. This is where I'm going to be. That's how I make my decisions when I found my church home. That's how I make my decisions with the people in my life.
Yeah.
Like, I try to approach it from that standpoint. Like, okay, God. Now, when God say, all right, it's time to go, I'm going to be like, where we going, though? Does it have the kind of sun?
I know.
A little bit.
Oh, you like listen. If you in LA and you are spoiled by the weather.
Yes.
And that's like a bargaining tool, which makes it very pleasant for Hollywood life.
Yes. Facts.
Shall we say?
Yes.
Because I mean for me, shout out to my girl Nikki Rich, there's a red carpet like every week.
Yes. There's always somewhere to go.
And I know because my girl Nikki is always on the red carpet. And I'm just like, it's always a function going on.
Yeah.
However, there are some challenges when it comes to Black Hollywood. Let's discuss. Because one of the things I know I used to say, and I said this to you before, I was like, oh, you the next East all right. Done it, East all right. And then after a while, and it was just like, no, you're not the next Issa Rae. You're the next Shea Butter.
Yep, that's it.
Right?
Yeah.
Because Issa is Issa.
Mm-hmm.
Lena Waithe is Lena Waithe.
Yep.
And Shea Butter Mustard Seed is Shea Butter.
That's right.
So I think understanding that there's so many spots and room for you all, we understand it, but not so much Hollywood understands it. So how are you navigating that?
So being Black is, first of all, the best thing ever.
Period. Right?
I really do. I love being Black. I'm so grateful God created me Black. It's one of those things where you see those interviews online and they're like asking people if you could be any other race, what would you be? And a lot of people, all the Black people were like, Black. I don't want to be anything else. I love myself. And so very much feeling that and grateful to be a part of Black Hollywood. As artists in general, right? Anything, well, I'll say this. It's interesting because the world has made our Blackness a thing. And we have had to almost reclaim that like we've had to reclaim so many other things, right?
The list.
And so, exactly. And so it's like as Black people, we just do things. We live, we have fun, we dance, we create, we commune, and that's just us doing us. But when other people look at us doing us, then they say, oh, that's a Black thing. And so similarly, within the film industry, it's like as Black artists, like we create stories that we want to see on television because a lot of us, depending on the age bracket, I know I did, we grew up on TV and film.
Yeah. For sure.
Only reason I went to college is because I thought Hillman was real.
Come on.
Out to a different world.
Right.
But yeah, and so, we create the things that we want to see, and then you have to factor in this machine that is Hollywood. And the machine is not ran nor necessarily created by those that look like us. And so then here we come, and I don't even want to say here we come because there's a whole, spectacle about that because we've been here, we've been creating, entertainment is embedded within us. So I don't know, we're not gonna get into the conversation of like who created what, but when you bring Black people into the creative space and we make films or television and then it's a Black cast, then all of a sudden it's labeled as a Black film, or a Black TV show instead of just a film or a TV show. There's a category for us, and it's kind of like sensitive subject with DEI. On the one hand, it's like that's amazing. That has afforded us opportunities to get in the door where there once wasn't a door, where Black people created something and couldn't even get it shown, or no one was able to see it because, the mechanisms for us to be able to display it, those people didn't want us. And so then there's DEI, and it's like, oh yeah, we can bring in these Black films. And while that's been amazing, it's also one of those things, as a Sagittarius, I hate being put in a box. And even if it's my Black fox, because I love being Black, but I'm just creating film.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my film just happens to be about people that look like me, kind of like when white people make films and they have all the white people in it.
Look like them.
Yeah, that's in their mind. That's what it looks like. That's the vision that they see. So when I see a vision, no, my vision does not entail a room full of white people. There may be white people here and there because I do have a diverse set of friends and family, but for the most part, you know what I'm saying? It's all us.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of that because that was what made me want to get into the industry. Seeing women and men on TV that look like me.
Shout out to the Wayans family. Who like
yes. Shout out to them.
Nail on the head with that one. Like, in Living Color was the tea.
Yes.
Like, I mean, so they literally made it a thing to where you can go into these big machines and say, this is what I want to do.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, which fast forward to now, we have so many creatives who are making YouTube their home, making TikTok their home, doing short films on iPhone. Like, it's just it's evolved so much. Has that hurt or helped you as a filmmaker?
I think that it's helped. It's evolution, right? And, once upon a time, we shot film on literal film, and now they're shooting film on phones.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, if you were a filmmaker, it almost seemed impossible to be able to get a deal, a movie deal or a TV deal. And now with these different outlets and networks, with the streaming services and YouTube and social media, like, people are getting deals because they're making good content and they're getting recognized for it. I think it's amazing. Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah. But some people have problem with change. Yeah. In any industry, some people have problem. I know when I heard, or I would hear certain people say, some of our older, more seasoned comedians say, oh, these kids from TikTok, they're just not funny. They can't do stand-up. However, we're in a different time now, right? So the Drewskis and all of they are funny because it's relating to the now.
Yeah. And to their audience.
Right. They're relating to the now. Mm-hmm. So I think even Hollywood has a problem with change sometimes. Seeing how it took us so long to even have Will Packer produce the Oscars. Like, that's just now happened within the last 3-4 years. It's a positive, but it's almost like we're breaking through all of this trauma red tape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So a lot of, to me, this is just me, our Black and brown sisters and brothers make films that we can relate to, i.e. Tyler Perry. People complain, oh, he writes, directs, and everything, but Tyler Perry speaks to a certain space of trauma that us of color have gone through.
Yeah.
Diary of a Mad Black Woman. I think it was the one where the young lady contracted HIV from the young guy. Oh. Like, these are all things that the community can relate to, right, wrong, indifferent, acting, quality. It's still something that people can relate to. How has trauma, and just your own personal trauma, affected how you direct and what films you choose to move forward with?
Art imitates life. Mm-hmm. So you have to pull from your experiences. God has gifted us with imagination, thankfully. Everyone has a creative gene inside of them, for the lack of a better phrase, because the Creator created us in His image, which means we are to create. So everyone has the ability to create, and creating by way of your imagination is absolutely incredible. So when you see films that are out of this world, that's amazing. But even the most far-fetched ideas come from, if you start unpacking or or peeling back the layers, it comes from some sort of an experience. And so I use it. Like, I know I personally use it, and I know that a lot of films and a lot of shows that we watch or that we've heard of, it comes from someone's real story. Maybe not that person that created it's real story, right?
Right.
So it's like, as a writer, as an artist, I tell everybody, everybody in my life, it's like, listen, anything that you do and say around me might end up in a script because it's inspiration. And even in my own life, like, there are my own, some things, my life story, some things that happen, I'm like, I can't make this up. I got to tell somebody, because ain't nobody, I don't even believe it. I can't believe it's happening to me. And because it's so unbelievable, somebody else needs to experience this as well.
Yeah. But honestly, I think people have it misconstrued. We're here on assignment.
Absolutely.
And a part of that assignment is to be able to speak your truth to essentially help someone else get through the next moment. And you have done that so well. Like, y'all, when I tell y'all Shay can pray the house down, like, I just started getting to know Jesus back in 2009, right? But I still had one foot in the streets and one foot over with Jesus. And so, I'll pray, but my prayers used to be like, hey, God, it's me. But if I really wanted somebody to kick the door in, I would have to, like, call best friend or the other best friend. And then you get to Shay, and Shay just has this angelic voice.
You are hilarious.
And you just know God listening to her. I was like, yeah.
Correct.
What she said, God, because I don't know if you listen to me, because mine don't sound nothing like that. What curated your passion for Christ like that? Because it's y'all.
That's hilarious.
I'm telling you, listen.
Man.
Shay is anointed and appointed.
I appreciate it. I can't take none of that credit. That is all God. Life experience. Like, I think, and again, I just try to be obedient. No, I can't, because I'm not going to be Siri. Ain't that crazy? They be listening to you. I didn't say anything about it.
You really did? It'd be
right. Listen. No, but yeah, just life. I think on it. I grew up in the church, like a lot of people down south. Southern Baptist Church. Shout out to Second Corinth Missionary Baptist Church, in 3rd Ward. St. Charles Milton. Just kidding. Okay. No, but yeah, I grew up in the church, and I'm not a PK or anything like that, but I grew up with my mom making sure we went to church on Sundays.
Right.
And Granny making sure we went to Bible study and Sunday school and all the things. And so I've always known God, but I believe I actually really got to know God our senior year of high school, when my mom had her aneurysm. Yeah, it was the end of the year. Everybody was like getting ready to go to Cancun, I think, because that was like the thing we did. And my mom had an aneurysm, which left her permanently disabled. She just came home one day from work, said she had a headache, and things spiraled really quickly after that. And so she was in a coma for like a month at Herman Hospital. And I was up there she had to end up having brain surgery. And they had to drain the fluid off of her brain, and she was in that coma for that month. And every day I didn't know what else to do, but at my roots of being in church, I was like, I'm gonna bring the Bible. So I was sitting in that waiting room in ICU, like, with that Bible. I was just reading scriptures. I didn't even know what it was. I was like, Jesus wept. Okay, that gotta mean something. Like, I'm just
that gotta correlate with what I'm going through right now.
Right. So I was just reading things, and then I honestly think that is when I truly understood and formed my own personal relationship with God, outside of the church, outside of your mama making you go to church, right? Outside of people telling you the Lord's Prayer and you memorizing it and not really knowing what it means. Like, that was when I was like, okay, because those were dark times when she was in there for so long. So it's like in the beginning, people were there to support. But as the weeks passed by, it was like I was up there by myself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, I just graduated from high school. I don't know what I'm doing.
What am I supposed to do with it?
Yeah, what am I supposed to do? Wake my mama up.
Right.
And I just kept reading and I kept praying. And from there, when she woke up, I was like, I felt like God had done me a solid. Like he did me a personal favor that I am forever indebted to him for because he saved my mom. And
yes, Chica, we love you.
Yes, we love you, Chica. Shout out to Chica.
Yes, yes. But even in the midst of all of that, you still said, I'm going to still pursue my dreams.
Yes.
Go to Cali.
Yes.
Get into Hollywood.
Yes.
Film and so on and so forth. And you still dealing with trauma.
Yes.
In such a space to where now you're here, still worried about your mom, like any human would.
Yes.
And you're in a vanity-driven industry.
Mm-hmm.
So then we start navigating alopecia.
Mm-hmm.
So, unfortunately, as little brown girls, our hair is like the thing.
Yes.
Like our hair is such the thing. Like even younger, if your hair is chewed up or ate up, people are talking about you when you're 6 and 7 and 8 years old. For whatever reason, we got into a space of relaxing our hair just so it can have a certain texture to it and a length to it, so it can match our counterparts of our Caucasian counterparts. Mm-hmm. So it can look the same, not understanding the power is in the kink.
Yes. Oh, yes. It's in the kink.
It's in the kink. The power is in the kink. Okay? And little did we know years later how amazing natural hair would evolve.
Yes.
So before you decided to be an amazing bald beauty, you went natural.
Yes.
So let's fill that gap. How did you go from natural to being the bald? I was the blonde bombshell. The bald bombshell. Right.
Bombshell, baby. Nobody does the blonde like you did. Period. I went natural on accident. I wish that my story started with I got tired of the relaxers and that is not what happened. I went natural when I was still living in Houston. Mm-hmm. And that was the sew-in. I mean, people are still getting sew-ins, I'm assuming, because a sew-in ain't gonna never go nowhere, probably. But it was the sew-in era. Like I was faithfully getting sew-ins.
Yeah, that was it's still a thing, but it was really a thing.
It was a thing. Like I was going from I'd get a sew-in, I'd wear it until it was time to get another sew-in. I was never letting my hair breathe. I was just going from sew-in to sew-in to sew-in to sew-in to sew-in, like for years. Yeah. And I'll never forget because my natural hair anniversary and my baldy anniversary, ironically, fall around my birthday in December. And I was getting ready my birthday weekend was coming up, and I made an appointment to get a sew-in with a different girl that normally does my hair. And last minute, she hit me up and was like, I can't do your hair. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? I didn't
listen.
The invitation.
Don't you ever call a black woman at the ninth hour and say, listen, I can't do your hair.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Do you have a recommendation for someone else who can? Because what is happening? I was like, I don't understand. Can you, what? So she couldn't do my hair. And because it was so late, I couldn't find anybody. Like, not a soul. So I was like, all right. I had already taken my hair down. I did a little wash to it and everything. So I was like, oh, God. So I went in the bathroom and I was like, looking like a untamed lion. I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And so I got on YouTube and I was like, natural hair, wet and goes. I was just like, everything. I was
YouTube is Vidas.
Listen, for hair, it has been there. Like, I know everyone's jumping on the YouTube trend now and the channels and stuff, but the ladies in the black hair industry, especially the natural hair ladies, shout out to every single one of them from back in the day. I'm talking about who were killing it on YouTube. I was getting all the things from YouTube. And so I saw like this wet and go tutorial. Tried to do it. Didn't realize I didn't know anything about the 4C.
See, I was gonna say you forgot you was 4C.
Yeah, I was straight 4C. I didn't know what that was, but that wet and go did not wet and go for me. Okay, I was like, nope, that's not gonna work. I need to do something else. And so I did like a twist out or a braid out, and it was okay. I put a little headband on, and so I'll never forget every time iPhone pulls up those pictures from that birthday. I'm like, ooh, that was rough. I remember that.
But see, why is that so hard for us to process our natural state of hair?
Because we're programmed.
Yeah.
The beauty standards specifically in America, but worldwide, the beauty standards for so long were hinging on white women and what was beautiful according to what